Hey everybody, welcome back to the Raw Read. I am so glad you decided to stop by and see what I'm reading on. But before we get started, you already know I'm going to invite everybody in. Why? Because this is the place to be. It is. This is the best community on these internet streets. And if you don't believe me, go in the comments. Meet a new friend, meet someone to kiki with, and I promise you, you're going to be impressed. They are an impressive group. And when you get through, come on out, go down there in those settings, look around, find that subscribe button, and go ahead on and subscribe. And while you're in there, hit your notification bell too so you'll know when I upload or when I just want to pop in. And give me a thumbs up to fight my nemesis, the beast, the algorithm. Boy, it comes in hard and fast, but I'm telling you, we are gaining ground. We are gaining ground. We are. Also, I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to all the readers who decide to support the channel by watching the commercials. Y'all are doing a awesome job. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, over in the corner, that's our join button. That's the channel memberships. And if you choose to become a channel member and a part of the reading club, you will be supporting my channel to grow, to improve, and to continue. And I will be so happy, so over the moon, so thankful to have your support. Also, if you just want to do a one-time donation, look over there in the other corner. That's our super thanks. And all donations to the channel is always greatly appreciated. All right, y'all, I have a couple of shout outs. I do. And first up is Patricia Smith. Patricia is just everything. She is. She is always coming through. She is always supporting. She is always in the comments. I'm telling you, she is a ride or die. She is a ride or die, always holding me down, and I appreciate it so very much, Patricia. So thank you for the super thanks, but most of all, thank you for being here and being a part of this community. It is everything. And Jennifer Clark came through, and let me tell you, Jennifer has been with me just about since the beginning. Yes, she has, and she never fails to hold me down. She never fails to come on through with the support. She is always supporting, always in the comments. She is just everything. I'm telling you, she is a cornerstone in this community. She really is, and I am so over the moon to have her as a part of this tribe. So thank you, Jennifer, so much for your support. And most of all, thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for showing up every day, always showing up for the read. It is so appreciated. All right, y'all, I'm going to play this and we'll talk on the other side. All right, y'all, I want to give another quick shout out to Patricia Smith and Jennifer Clark. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming through, and thank you for being a part of this community. Y'all are everything. Your presence is everything, and I am so appreciative for it. All right, y'all, let's get started. And y'all know what happens when I put the read together. I hit these internet streets, and let me tell you, I have been on these streets today. Now, I haven't been on it as heavy as I usually am. I have had some things I needed to do around the house, but I promise you, we are going to have a good chat. Yes, we are, because there's some things going on that we need to talk about. But y'all know what I do. I head over to Instagram to see what the squatties are doing over there, seeing what Meghan's up to. Always checking in with Meghan. always showing up to give her her love. And that's what I want y'all to do as well. And of course, y'all know I had to peek in and see what the Instagram squatties was talking about. And let me tell you, they are still dragging Kitty Cat and Peggy over their sycophantic behavior towards the one that shall not be named. Y'all know I went over to TikTok. It is the funniest creator over there. And he calls the one that shall not be named, he calls him the man with the dead hand. Hey, y'all, I like that name too. The man with the dead hand. I digress, y'all. They still dragging them. And we see that they don't want people to talk about what went on during that state visit because it was shameful. It was embarrassing. It was beneath the dignity of the crown. The way Kitty was acting. I mean, she was acting like a straight up floozy. She regressed back to when she was in college and was called the mattress. You know, when she was running that honey pot on William. She was in full honey pot mode. And while she did that, William licked the boots of the man with the dead hand. It was so disgusting. It was so beneath the dignity of that institution, that so-called institution. But we all know that they do a lot of things beneath the dignity of this so-called crown. They don't hold up the crown very well at all. They don't. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. But the biggest story that is on these internet streets, at least the one that they want to distract us with, is the one about Sarah Ferguson. Yes, they done went and drugged Sarah from under the bed and threw her directly under the bus. Why? Because they want us to stop talking about what's eating William. They want us to stop talking about what went on in that state visit. That table while people are hungry and going to food banks. It did not go over well with the British people at all. And if you listen to any of those talk shows, those call-ins, you'll know that it didn't go down very well. So they want to distract. They want to change the conversation. And what do? They go in there and find Sarah and drag her out and throw her completely under the bus. Now, I'm not saying it's undeserving. I'm not saying that at all. But let's not get it twisted. It is a distraction. So that is what the squatties on Instagram is talking about. And y'all know I always make my way over to X, formerly known as Twitter, to see what the squatties over there are talking about. And they are talking about the same thing. So we're going to get into it. We have quite a bit to talk about. Like I said, I am not going to keep y'all long, but buckle up. It's going to be bumpy, bumpy, bumpy. But the tea is going to be served up hot. I guarantee you. We coming in hot. I'm going to put this up. And this is the article that kicked it all off. This was in the Daily Fail yesterday. And it's about Fergie and J.E. saying that Fergie's, J.E. lies exposed in bombshell email. She publicly apologized for taking abuser's cash and vowed to cut ties with him. Then weeks later told him, I only did it to save book deals. Yeah, it's not looking so good for Sarah. It's not. But how do you think this all came about? I'm going to ask you that question, and then a little later I'm going to tell you what I think. But this particular squatter that posted it said, Fergie is cooked on this one. The email is damning. Yeah, it is. It's pretty bad for Fergie. And I'm not surprised at all. in her behavior. Fergie and Andrew are two sides of the same coin. They just are. But to look behind this, why now? Why now is this coming out? I say it's coming out because of Kensington Palace. Because we saw where William had cried his little salty tears and said that he did not want his brother back. He did not feel like he should come back, and he feels like he's right about not allowing Harry back, just like he was right about Andrew. And so I think this is a distraction. It's a distraction from their behavior because it did not come across like they thought it was going to come across. These two people, Willie and Kitty, are desperate to get on the world stage, to be, lauded, to be recognized as, a statesman, a stateswoman, to be respected by the world globally. And they feel like they have to do anything and everything to get there except do the work. Except do the work. Now, they don't want to do the work, but they'll absolutely kiss the butt of someone like the man with the dead hand. They'll do that. They want the short way, the shortcut. That's what they want. And since it didn't go down the way they thought it was going to go down, they planted this to distract from what they had done, and also to try to embarrass Charles, because Charles has allowed Andrew and Fergie to come back, to be part of the family again, to be at different events again. And so this was to embarrass Charles, and it also was to reinforce what William put out there, that it was a mistake for Charles to do that, to allow them to be, in the public eye. That's my thoughts. Y'all tell me what y'all think. But I think this came straight from William, because who does this story benefit the most? If you want to know where a story comes from, that's the only question you need to ask. Who does it benefit the most? And to me, it benefits Willie and Kitty the most, because it serves as a distraction, meaning that people will not be talking about their behavior. When it comes to the man with the dead hand, it also serves as a way to put doubt in people's mind about Charles's decision making when it comes to Andrew and Fergie, allowing them to be front facing at family functions, at family occasions, gradually trying to bring them in from the cold. It was just last week that William went over there with his cup of salty tears and told Tom Thumbhead Sykes that he felt that this was wrong, and that his father had poor decision making skills when it came to Andrew and Harry. He felt he was right that Andrew should be banished for good, and he feels the same way about Harry. Y'all remember that? And to me, this is him trying to reinforce the fact that Charles made a terrible decision when it came to Andrew. And so trying to associate that with Harry and say if he made a bad decision about Prince Andrew, he's also making a bad decision about Harry. All right, I'm going to put this one up. And this particular squatty is posting about Sarah Ferguson and says this: New Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, has been dropped by 4 charities after a 2011 email surfaced calling J.E. her supreme friend. Now, how do y'all think that email surfaced? Now, people are focusing on the email, and I understand that. But why are we not focusing on the source that exposed the email? We all know who has access to these kinds of things. You know, what kind of email you're sending back and forth, the email that is within the royal household. I'm just saying. But I just want to say this too. To me, Andrew and Fergie are products of that institution and how it is structured, meaning that the sovereign has everything. All the power and all of the financial wealth is concentrated in the sovereign. And the rest of the family has to bend the knee to the sovereign in order for them to dole out pittance to them. And so when it's like that, when it's set up to create corruption, that's exactly what it does. It creates corruption. And that's what has happened in Andrew and Fergie. In order for them to maintain this lifestyle that's expected of them, and they have no money, if it's not being doled out to them, then they tend to associate with very shady characters. Let's not forget what it's been maybe a year or so ago when this Chinese businessman and all that came out where they had to kick him out of the country. And the names that came out was it was a lot of names from the royal family. Zara and her meathead husband was on there. So was Beatrice and Eugenie. And, Andrew and Sarah Ferguson was on there. I mean, everybody had their hand out. Why? Because the sovereign has all the money. And when it's like that, they'll use their names, their titles, their positions to be close to very nefarious people in order to get money. What people don't understand is the sovereign is wealthy. The sovereign is very, very wealthy, but the other family members are not. And this is what you get. The system is absolutely set up for corruption. It is ripe for corruption. I'm just saying. And I'm going to put this up. This squatty has a little different take on this situation. They said this: William throwing Fergie under the bus to antagonize Andrew, who will then tell KC3 to make it stop, is my guess. If Andrew or the royal family doesn't come to Fergie's aid publicly, and as she did 2 years ago to help Andrew's image, I hope Fergie's eyes are wide open. What y'all think about that? We all know Fergie did come to Andrew's defense. She said that he was a good man. She absolutely did all she could to try to shield him and to support him. And now this squad is saying, let's see. Let's see if she's going to get that in return. But they do agree with me that it's William who is throwing Fergie under the bus. But like I said, I agree with that portion, but we kind of veer off for the reason why William is doing this. I think this is totally self-serving for William. It is to get back at his dad and to distract from his behavior in that state visit. I'm just saying. And I'm going to put this up. And this particular squatty is like me. They smell a rat. Yes, the timing is pretty sus. This squatty said both Andrew and Fergie are guilty for their ties to EJ and accepting money from him. However, the timing is odd. William suddenly complains about Andrew's public attempt to speak to him and then new email surfaced. Yeah, yeah. This is William. Nobody but. And like I said, it's also an attack on his dad. They are still going back and forth, Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace. That's exactly what's going on. And this particular squatty said, deflection from this. Now that's my thoughts. It says, make no mistake, they sat on this story until that state visit was over to deflect. Yes, because they behaved scandalous. Willie and Kitty did. They behaved with no decorum at all. And they really thought they were doing something. These people cannot read a room. They cannot. They show their hand every time. They want validation. They want to be seen as global advocates, global statesmen, but they don't want to put in the work, like I was saying earlier. And then when their attempt falls flat, they have to deflect. And how do they deflect? Whoops, Sarah Ferguson has to go under the bus. Has to go under the bus. Andrew, he stays under the bus. This is the same old playbook. It is. And I'm going to put this up. And this particular post is just Chef's Kiss. It's a repost. And the original post said this. This isn't just diplomacy. She could have chosen to be cold and polite. But no, she chose to be all smiles with a felon and a Putin sympathizer. We've seen how cold she can be with people she truly dislikes. That's quite a statement. And then this other squatter reposted it and said this, which is so true. It says, Queen Elizabeth was honestly very good at the cold but polite. You could tell when she was just doing her duty. This was very obviously not the case with Kate Middleton. Where is the lie? Where is it? She was playing the old honeypot game. She had an agenda, and so did Willie. And it was to try to gain some kind of status on the world stage. I mean, they wrote an article about how they were preparing William to be more of a statesman. This is what they thought their goal was, and this is how they thought they needed to go about it. And it fell wholly flat. And it only exposed them for the people that they are. Now people see exactly who they are. And that's a nasty piece of work. I'm just saying. I just want to make this statement here. You know, Queen Elizabeth was a master class in how to handle people like the man with the dead hand. Go back and look at her state visit, how she handled it with such grace. She never overdid anything. It was subtle through and through. And it was because I believe that the queen had that kind of weight. She had that kind of respect, and she was very secure in who she was. Willie and Kitty are so insecure. They really are. I mean, it's as if they were little dogs wagging their tails, begging for attention. It was embarrassing. It was. They absolutely behaved below their stature. All I can say is the queen would have never and did never show deference to anyone because she didn't have to. She absolutely was able to command the respect. These people will never ever demand any respect because of their behavior and their mediocrity. They're so mediocre and it shows. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. And it says the Rangers want Meghan to lose her titles because she has a deal with Netflix, made jam, have podcasts, launch her brand, has an Instagram account, and went to trips, walked with veterans, and Harry wrote a book. But Fergie being close to JE is not a problem for them. How many calls have you heard for Sarah Ferguson to be stripped of her titles? Andrew to be stripped of his titles? But yet they cannot keep their mouths closed when it comes to Harry and Meghan, talking about strip them of their titles. For what? For what? Compared to Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. But they are quiet. This particular squatty said, am I tripping or the derangers are not asking Fergie to lose her titles? Yes, where is the outcry? Where is it? This is something. I tell you, the hypocrisy is so thick with these people. That is why I absolutely go in on them every opportunity because of the hypocrisy of it all. They want Harry and Meghan stripped of their titles because Meghan makes jam, because Meghan works for a living, because Harry works for a living, because they are thriving. I mean, that's all it is. Harry and Meghan's success makes them feel bad because they had a whole different scenario in their head of how all this was going to shake out. It was going to be Harry leaving Meghan, coming back with his tail between his legs because of the fact they were broke. Yes, this is the scenario that they had in their head, and it hadn't worked out that way. So what do? Strip them of the titles, strip them of the titles. And absolutely crickets when it comes to Andrew and Fergie. And they have done much worse. That's all Fergie does is trade off of her titles. I mean, let's go back to when she was caught on tape trying to sell access to Prince Andrew for, I think it was $500,000. She was caught on tape doing that. But somehow they're silent when it comes to her titles. But Meghan, who has done nothing but make an honest living, her titles should be stripped. I mean, it is just absolutely nauseating how these people have the audacity to say stuff like that when all this other stuff is much worse than anything Harry and Meghan has done because they hadn't done anything. But it is crazy to me. But sometimes things happen in order for them to shut up because if they say that now, wow, wow. As my grandmother used to say, they don't have a leg to stand on. They don't. Not with that argument. Not with all of this going on with Andrew and Fergie. Meghan making jam. Meghan making a living. Meghan, being successful. That's justification. Stop it. Stop. You make yourself look real stupid. And speaking of stupid, let's put this up. Somebody has been really, really quiet. We all know stupid is real quiet when people are being exposed. And this particular squatty said, guess who's usually quick to yap but hasn't said a word about the Duchess of York? Mr. Potato Pierce. Yes, Pierce has been just uncharacteristically quiet. Quiet, has not said a word because at the end of the day, he's full of it. He is completely full of it, and it exposes him as well. Now, this particular squatty says, so by the looks of things, Kimmy is briefing at the same time as Willie, all in the hopes of diverting the dragging they have been getting. Yes, they got drugged to HE double hockey sticks because of that state visit. It didn't go down the way they thought it was going to go down. Boy, they was playing it up to the hilt, especially Willie and Kitty, as we have been discussing. Yeah, so now everybody's looking for a diversion. And look like it's going to be Sarah. It says Cammy treating Wadey like SHIT the day when she shooed her away, and Willie being drugged in articles asking what's eating him. We've seen this movie before. Exactly. I said that earlier. All right, y'all. I'm gonna put this up, and this particular squatty is posting about the other two stories. You remember I said earlier it was 3 stories floating around, and the main story was about Sarah Ferguson. Well, it's 2 stories about Harry and Meghan and their children. This particular squatty is posting about it and says hashtag Prince Harry spokesperson had to deny 2 stories this week, published on the Mail on Sunday by Tom Sykes. Prince Harry does not want a half in, half out arrangement and did not ask the king for such a deal. Prince Harry has not put his son's name down for Eden, nor does he have any plans of doing so. Harry's spokesperson came out and squashed those 2 stories. One of them was that Harry had asked Charles to come back, to be a working royal again, to be half in and half out. They want it so bad. They cook it up. And Harry said, nah. That's not what it was about. Harry said this is going to be about his father, not him. And he has said it time and time and time again. I don't know if he's going to have to take out billboards all across the United Kingdom to tell these rotor rats that he is happy with his life in Southern California. He's happy with his life. He is happy with his wife, and he is happy with his family. What part of that do they do not understand? Harry has said no, 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 no. What part of no can they get through their head, the N or the O? I don't think he can make it any plainer or simpler, but they keep on with the BS. And then this whole story about Harry wanting Archie to go to Eden. I mean, we talked about this several podcasts back, that this was nothing but a lie. Nobody believed it. And Harry absolutely had to clear that up as well. Archie is 6 years old. They don't accept any kind of applications for that school until they're 10. But do you honestly think Meghan is going to allow her child to go to school a whole continent away from her? I mean, it's ridiculous. And talking about them moving back for several months of the year. I mean, they just had it all put together. I mean, just like let's think back to all the stories they lied about, that Harry and Meghan was separated. Harry and Meghan was divorcing. Their relationship was rocky and all kinds of made up nonsense that they had cooked up. And this is the same thing, cooking on the same stove. I mean, it's ridiculous. But Harry's spokesperson is starting to come out and back down this nonsense. And I love it. And this particular squatty talking about it said, don't forget that Archie and Eden's story was completely fabricated by Richard Eden, who regularly makes up SHIT so he can get paid for it. Tom Sykes picked it up and amplified it. Both men are William and Middleton minions. Exactly. And yes, that's absolutely true. Maureen started this nonsense. And he was confronted in his comments about this person. And I'm not going to go through all the comments, but basically they were saying, could he tell them what was in the story so they didn't have to pay for it? He said no. He said, at the bottom, you'll see, he said, no, because I want people to subscribe to the Daily Mail UK so I get paid. It's all about the PAID for him. He will lie and lie and lie. He has no integrity whatsoever. And he looks at Harry and Meghan as a meal ticket. He's one of the flying monkeys that Harry and Meghan pay his rent. He lives off of Harry and Meghan, and he makes no qualms about it. He said he didn't want to tell them what was in the story because he wants them to subscribe to the Daily Mail UK, which is behind a paywall. And let's not forget, Tom Thumbhead Sykes, the Daily Beast, is behind a paywall as well. These people are about making money, and they will lie and lie and lie. I am so glad Harry and Meghan's spokesperson is absolutely bringing them to the front and telling them, listen, stop the lying. This is what the truth is. Knowing too, Harry and Meghan is not going to send their little baby over there to Eden. Harry was miserable in Eden. Why would he do that? It's just crazy to me. And I also want to say this about them lying about Archie going to Eden. Eton, I think that's the way you pronounce it. And it was in that article, What's Eating William? That was featured in that article as well. That William does not want Archie to come to the United Kingdom. It was in that article that would be something that would really, really anger him. William is so evil and so twisted that I believe that he hates his own nephew and niece because of the fact that, I have said it before, that those kids took more after Diana than Doria. He is so twisted. He is so tied up in knots inside about Harry's life, about his wife, and about his kids. It was said in that article that he didn't want Archie to come. It would anger him to know if that happened. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? But I bet you it doesn't surprise you because it doesn't surprise me. I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to put this up. And this squatty said, now that distraction has been cleared in less than 24 hours because the new comms team isn't playing any unnamed sources game, let's go back to the main question. What is eating William? Yes, they wanted to get off that question, didn't they? I'm telling you, they really wanted to get off of it, and they came and got Sarah and put her under the bus and then start planning these old nonsense stories. But Harry's comm team said, we ain't playing that game. We're going to clear this right on up, and you can go on to the next one. Let's get back to what's eating William and what is just about to eat him up. That's how I would phrase it. And this particular squatty said the very idea that Harry would want to send his own son to Eden after he described in extensive detail how much he hated it there. All I can say is, where is the lie? Harry's not going to send Archie to Eden. Archie is going to do what normal kids do. That stay with his parents until he's 18 years old when he graduates and go to college or go wherever he decides the direction he wants to go in his life. He's not going to go to boarding school, especially not over there with that hateful uncle of his will be king by the time Archie comes of age. Why would Harry absolutely want his child to be over there under the thumb of Willie? Get out of here. That will never happen, and definitely not going to send him to Eden where he could be so unhappy and missing his family. Stop it. And Harry said, in no time soon is he considering anything like that. You might as well could put a period behind that, because Harry is not going to send his child off to be unhappy. This particular squatty said the British media releasing more slander towards Harry is not innocent. They do this right after Willie and Kitty humiliated themselves by kissing the man with the dead hands dictator's ring and left people confused. They thought people would love it, but it was the opposite. So back to attacking Harry and Meghan. Where is the lie? Where is it? They really thought that they had pulled off a coup, something that Harry and Meghan would be jealous of. I mean, when I tell you people do not have a clue, those people do not have a clue. Everybody that works in Kensington Palace, that whole staff needs to be fired. They need new people, because the people that they have are dumb as rocks. And their primaries are dumber than that, Willie and Kitty. They really thought that they were doing something, and it did not turn out the way they thought. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. Y'all know that Harry and Meghan was on the 70th anniversary of Disney and their anniversary show on Sunday. And we got a new little glimpse of Prince Archie and Princess Lilibeth. You remember when they went to Disney World for her birthday? And Meghan says in this little clip, said that Archie wanted to know what was going to happen. I think when was his birthday or something. Archie was indicating that he wants a birthday like Lilibeth had a birthday at Disneyland. Although Disney is in some hot water right now, they are. The timing for Harry and Meghan was a little unfortunate because of the controversy that's going on with Disney. And so I don't even think anybody watched this 70th anniversary because they're boycotting them. So just a little mistiming, but it was so cute. The exchange between Harry and Meghan, they have such great chemistry. And the new picture of our niece and nephew, yes, Lilibeth has a head full of beautiful hair, and it's looking more blonde now than red. I'm just saying. And also, I want to put this up. They done cooked this up, and this particular squatty posted about it. Now, this is three main stories, and this one is not getting much traction, but I'm going to talk to y'all about it. And it's about Jessica Maroney, and they're lying, saying that Jessica is going to write a book. This particular squatty said, TBM, doing the other thing they know how to do, and that use clickbait headlines and ignore what the person they're writing about has said. Jessica Maroney is not writing a tell-all book about Meghan Sussex. And they had to come back. Within the story, they had to print the truth. They just did a clickbait headline when they knew that they had to put the truth in. And the truth was in the body of the story, and it says, but it can be revealed that Meghan can rest easy because Miss Maroney herself has insisted she would never spill the beans on their relationship. Absolutely not. She told the Mail when asked if an autobiography was in the works. Despite the clear denial, the source close to her insists that even if she refused to speak about it publicly, Jessica does have a axe to grind with the Duchess of Sussex. These people, I mean, you can say no, and they'll say, "Do you really mean it?" She doesn't really mean it. This woman said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. When asked, she would never, ever spill the beans on their relationship. But yet and still, this unknown source, they're going to go with what the unknown source is saying instead of the person. Jessica said, no, absolutely not. These people, I cannot with them. But yes, clickbait articles that within the body of the article, they tell the truth, that their headline is a lie. I mean, journalism is dead. It is absolutely dead and buried. I cannot. And I just want to say this. And the only reason that they prove themselves as liars within the body of the article is because they know Harry and Meghan will come for their necks. They know this. So they'll write the little clickbait headline, but within the body of the article, they'll tell the truth because they know most people are just going to read the headline and not the article. Isn't that dirty? That is dirty. Dirty, dirty dogs. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. I'm going to put this up. And Prince Harry was featured in this commercial. I don't know if you would call it a commercial or what exactly would you call it, but it said, a squatty posted about it and said Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, was featured prominently in the film, has long championed global efforts to end AIDS, supporting initiatives in countries including Botswana and Lesotho. The film premieres today, and it is about preventing AIDS. And it's a lot of other stars, including Magic Johnson and Charlene Theron, and it's just a lot of them. And evidently, it's a film. And this is what the Hollywood Reporter says about it. It says Prince Harry, Magic Johnson, and Charlene Theron rally support for HIV/AIDS amid cutbacks. And it says, as world leaders convene Monday at United Nations headquarters in New York to kick off this year's General Assembly, they were presented with the world premiere of a new short film featuring Prince Harry, Charlene Theron, Irving Magic Johnson, and Thuzo Mbiu. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it says the high-profile stars appear in the short along with two HIV plus activists, all of whom offered up their time and words to rally support for HIV/AIDS amidst global cutbacks with a clear and hopeful message to the end of AIDS. Harry is out here being a global advocate. He's out here doing the work, putting in the work, and people are recognizing the work. He's starting to work with so many different people, lending his knowledge, lending his name, lending his voice. Harry is out here doing the work. Harry is a global advocate because he earned it year after year after year. Kitty and Peggy wants to take the shortcut. They do. And that is the reason why they fell on their face while they were literally licking the boots of the man with the dead hand. They wanted to take the shortcut. They don't want to put in the work like Harry has. And it's never ever going to work for them because it's always going to come off as fake and phony. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. And this was the lead story in the Scum after we found out that Murdoch was at that state dinner for the man with the dead hand. We should have known some BS was going to come out of that dinner. And this is what they put on their front pages, trying to say something negative about Harry, but ending up giving him a compliment. And listen to this and you'll see why. The original front page says this: royal shame. Charles is clear. Harry will never return to the royal family. He's the opposite of what his dad stands for. Expert slams. Yes, they really thought that that was some kind of flex, some kind of diss, some kind of absolutely smear on Harry's name. But this particular squatty that posted it, let it be clear that no, this is a compliment. This squatty said the best compliment ever given to Prince Harry. He is the opposite of what his father stands for. His father, tampon gay, cash for honors, adulterer, emotional cold prick towards his sons, jealous piece of you know what, couldn't stand his ex-wife and son's popularity. That one, the one that put his concubine, his side hoe on the throne, the one that a leaky pen sends him into hysterics, that one, the one who cheated on his wife, the one who did everything he could to destroy her, that one, the one who backstabbed his mother, that one, the one that has no sense of family, only looks at his children as tools to be used to glorify and amplify himself. That one, yeah, this is a compliment when it comes to Harry. Harry is, they're right. I must say, for once in my life, I agree with these so-called experts. Harry is nothing like his father and has none of his standards. Harry is nothing like him. And all I can say is, thank God. All right, y'all, I'm going to put up this picture right here. And it is such a cute picture of our prince. And he is at the 1805 live concert, for the firefighters. And, that him and Meghan attended on Saturday. Now, I want y'all to put a caption to it. What is Harry saying? I'm like, I think he is saying, how did you get all this hair? How? He is absolutely geeking out about this guy's hair because we all know Harry is a little hair challenged. He is. Sometimes I see pictures of Harry and I say, Harry need to cut it all off. And then sometimes I see pictures of Harry and it looks thicker. And I say, well, maybe he can hold on for a little while longer. But I think Harry is saying, why is he got all this hair and I am so hair challenged? Y'all tell me what y'all think. Give me a caption for this picture. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all a little later. Bye.